Have you ever checked your bank account and felt surprised by what you saw? Maybe there were charges that you didn't think were going to be there. Maybe you realized money had been leaving
way faster than you thought it should.
It's interesting how fast we go through life without actually looking at our finances. We swipe a card, we pay a bill, and we never look. And we assume everything's fine. If you just close your eyes and plug your ears and go, no. You can't manage what you don't see. So stewardship starts with actually looking. And one of the most effective stewardship principles is paying attention to our finances. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Don't wanna mess up. I can't lose your love. I can't get enough. And I'ma keep my heart right by my side. Yeah, I can't.
Many people live financially without ever actually looking at what is happening. Bills get paid, credit cards get swiped, money goes in, money goes out, without ever really paying attention. And what ends up happening is called financial drift. And so what this drift happens is you drift a little more to spending more money on things that you shouldn't. You drift a little more to not paying your bills on time. You may even drift a little more to not giving anymore. And you don't really notice it because it just creeps in slowly. And as you drift more and more, you drift into a place where you're kind of like way out to sea and you're telling yourself, oh crap, we're in trouble now. Because you've drifted by like just these micro drifts, each month, $100, $200, whatever it is, and then eventually your credit card is maxed, your bills aren't getting paid, and you realize you have no money in your bank account because you haven't been paying attention to it this entire time. It's very easy to drift. It's easy to drift in spending. It's easy to drift in saving. You see, stewardship isn't really about making more money. That's not what stewardship is actually about. Stewardship is about being aware and knowing what God has entrusted to you, what you've been giving, and what resources you currently have. And awareness requires something quite simple. It requires us to look. And that might seem exponentially simple, but even like I talked in my last video about overwhelm, you have to look to know. If anyone thinks that stewarding your money well by just ignoring everything is a good idea, then let's sit down and chat about that, because I don't think that's going to work out well. When we're thinking about this, we can look at Luke 16, 10 and 11, and it says this. It says, unless you're faithful in small matters, you won't be faithful in large ones. If you cheat even a little, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. And if you're untrustworthy about worldly wealth, who will trust you with the true riches of heaven? It begins with attention to small things. In the Bible, someone who was a steward was someone who was entrusted with someone else's property. And if you were entrusted with something small and you did well in that, then you would be entrusted with something greater later on. Their responsibility really was to know exactly what they were entrusted with and then manage it wisely. If they were given a certain amount of money or gold or whatever it was, they needed to manage that wisely. And in order to steward that, they needed to know. They needed to look at what they had in order to use it wisely. And this seems quite simple. And you're probably like, Nate, of course. If you need to manage someone's stuff, you need to know what you have. Well, yes, but then we go through our lives and we manage our money without looking at it or having any awareness of it, and we expect that to turn out well. God doesn't ask us to manage what we wish we had, but he actually asks us to manage what we have. And in order to manage what we have, we need to look at what we have and have an awareness. And if we don't, then things are going to drift because we don't know what we have and we don't know what we're spending. We don't know what our bills are. Just not knowing is a big deal, and we need to know. That's really where we need to start. It starts by, and I'm going to hammer this over and over again, it starts by paying attention, by seeing what you have, by knowing what you have. Do you know what you have? Do you know how much you spend every month? Do you know how much is in your bank account? Even in a starting spot, do you know how much you have in your bank account right now at this moment? Okay, Nathan, you've given us a whole bunch of things. You've told us that we're not looking at our money. That's a bad thing. Okay, I got it. But what do we do about this? Where do we go from here? How can we be more attentive and be better stewards with what we've been given? Well, let's look at that. So in the last video, we talked about just like opening the app and just looking at your bank account. This week, I want you to spend 15 minutes. Block out 15 minutes of your time, and here's what you're gonna do with that 15 minutes. So 15 minutes this week, block out that time, I don't know, Friday night, Saturday morning with your coffee, just block out 15 minutes of time this week, and these are the things you're gonna do. You're gonna just look. Okay? It's quite simple. You're just gonna look. And the first thing you're gonna look at is one, your bank balance. You're gonna open up your app. You're gonna open up your bank account. You're gonna go to a teller. You're just going to look. You're gonna see what your bank balance is. That's step one. That's the one thing you're gonna do in this 15 minutes is just look at your bank balance. The second thing is you're gonna look at your recent spending. What have I spent recently over the last week that's coming out of my bank account? What am I spending? So you're going to look at your bank account, you're going to look at your spending. Third thing you're going to do is you're going to look at what money's coming in. You're just going to look. You're going to see how much money you make. For some of us, we know exactly how much our paycheck is. For others, we take that pay stub and we file it in the garbage can and we don't look at all. And we just assume there's going to be money in there. That's fine. I have no idea how much money, but there's going to be money. See how much money's coming in. In the 15 minutes, look at your bank account, look at where you're spending, and look what money's coming in. Those are three things. And the fourth thing is your bills. What money is going out? When is it going out? Just mark these things down. Maybe even have a notepad with you. Write down, okay, this is my bank balance. This is where I've been spending this week. This is how much I'm making or how much money's coming in. And this right here is what bill has just come out. 15 minutes, look at these four things. And I don't want you to step into this feeling guilty if you're spending, I don't know, all your money at Chick-fil-A, whatever. I don't want you to step into this feeling guilty. Don't want you to step into this feeling fearful of just like, oh my goodness, what is happening? Just, it's okay. We're just starting, right? This is 52 weeks. This is week 2. We are just starting to look at becoming better with our money. And it's just a small step. Last week was 5 minutes. This week is 15 minutes. You're going to look at 4 things. Don't step into it feeling guilty or shame about it. Because what we really want is we want awareness. We want to be aware of where our finances are going and what is coming in. And that's because faithful stewardship requires awareness. We need to be aware of the little that we have in order that we can manage more later, right? If we can't even manage like a little bit, how are we supposed to manage bigger things? When we get a hold of this, then we can understand how to handle bigger things. But stewardship starts with awareness. And really in closing, stewardship grows when awareness grows. We are able to handle what God has given us in a better way when we know what we are working with. And then when we can handle that, we can handle greater things. So your challenge for this week, simply look, Pay attention. But don't do this in guilt or shame, because the first step towards faithful stewardship is paying attention and not allowing things to drift away when you're not paying attention. Stewardship begins when we pay attention to what God has put in our hands and has allowed us to steward, to manage in our lives now. So let's look forward to being good managers of the things that God has given us and see how we can flourish, how we can not be held back by, increasing debt or just fear because we don't know what's going on with our lives. Stewardship requires awareness, and that will keep us away from money drift. If you guys like this video, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, check out the video from last week, and I'll see you guys next week.